Well, hello there, guys. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey guys, another good evening.
Excellent. So tonight I'm up for leading, and this is one of the topics that's been on my back burner for a while, and wasn't able to do the other topic that I wanted to do because of some scheduling conflicts. The usual. So tonight we're going to talk about distractions. And
Didn't I
What'd you
talk
say?
about this
I was paying
before?
attention to something else.
well played, Steve. Well played.
There we go. Didn't we
Um,
already do something on distractions before?
so
Misdirection.
way back when we were talking about I believe we titled it the Four Horsemen of the Narrative Apocalypse. Distractions were mentioned as one of the four horsemen. So
Didn't I do
I know.
misdirection?
You did.
Yes, you did.
Misdirection. That was it. Misdirection.
I'm usually not the ETN guys, so
Well, misdirection and distractions are two sides of the same coin. They're different strategies to achieve the same result. So, for example, and what we're talking here is about a very specific type of distraction, and that is the distraction of I want you focused and emotionally engaged on this thing over here that I don't care about as much as the thing that I don't want you looking at over here that you really should be caring about.
it's like the perfect poker player.
Yeah. So if misdirection is more like sleight of hand and magician, that was ETN number 9, by the way, guys, for if you're going to go look back. That was a Nick-led discussion. Distraction is almost more of like a startle reflex response. So we're not really tricking your senses. We're just saying, wait, look, something more important is going on over here. And yeah, don't look at all what I'm doing behind your back. So, you guys have anything you want to add before I start diving into?
Well, we have a lot of distractions.
Hey,
Okay.
Distractions, and we're going to touch on them. But
Hey, big
on,
tits are some
on the
good
other side of the world,
distractions.
Nick, you're in a mood tonight.
I went there
Yes,
before Steve could.
yes, big tits are a distraction in a very literal sense. That's true. Can't really argue with you there. What else might be a
That's what it is.
distraction? We mentioned the NFL before the show.
Yeah, takes up your whole Sunday. Or college football, but honestly, like, hey, people just want to have fun. They want to look at shit.
Sure. So, well, and some distractions.
Bread and circuses. Bread and circuses.
Oh yes. So this isn't a new idea.
Yeah. No,
How
it's an
about-
ancient idea.
how about wars and rumors of wars? Is that a distraction?
Oh. Uh-oh. Are you saying that I should lead into my topic?
You're going to go there sometime. But, there's plenty of distractions. Oh, and then we got the presidential race. And,
All that shit.
ooh. How about sexual improprieties in the news? Who's
Oh,
got the scandal now?
Oh, Me Too strikes again.
No, I think he's referring to a certain famous musician.
Russell Brand.
Oh, Nick, I love how disconnected you've been.
Am I totally off, or am I
Mr.
actually
Sean Combs?
Yes.
Sean Connery died.
No, Sean Combs. I'm trying not to use his actual
Ah.
name or his common name. Yes.
Oh, all the investigations and shit. Yeah, the 3-letter that are involved. Yeah, those fuckers. Okay.
Well, so it's interesting that Steve, you bring up that idea of sexual impropriety as distraction, because that is actually one of the favorite forms of distraction by particularly the media, because it's salacious. It appeals to our emotions immediately. Particularly the Christians have a visceral gut reaction to it. And it's a great way to distract Christians from all the other ways that they've been screwed. Still not 8 minutes in yet.
Yeah, I already
Um,
said fuckers, so we're already
Yeah.
been done.
Okay. There's another thing. Sexual impropriety or allegations
You
of
mean
such.
immorality?
Yeah. Okay. Immorality. They're often thrown out in a divorce situation, and then it becomes
Yeah.
a distraction from accomplishing anything. Takes huge amounts of money, and you're
Mhm.
all focused on that, and yeah, it just turns into a mess.
So this stream, we're going to touch on topics of political importance, but we're actually going to try to avoid the politicking of it, because my purpose here is really to show you that the political views of and that you're given on places like Twitter or the mainstream media are really just narratives that are designed to distract you from all the other stuff that's going on that affects you way more than these narratives do. And that this is really about triage, is about kind of discussing what it takes to triage an incoming event, like, say, Sean Combs, and determining how much of your time and energy you need to give to that thing. Because the salacious accusations against Sean Combs, whether they're true or not, does it matter to your life? Is it something you need to give your time to?
So I think you said we're going to outline these issues, discuss the issues without taking a firm stance on the issues. Because the stance, whether you're see it this way or see it that way, is immaterial. It's still a distraction.
That's
The more
correct.
time you spend on it, I'm pro this war, or I'm anti this war. Okay, well, you're still focused on it. Is that what you're trying to get at, Plutarch?
Correct. And I'm going to do that by
How do
picking
you
up. Go ahead.
but how do you know what to listen to and not to listen to when you're inundated with so much information?
That is the question of the evening, isn't it? And the answer, if we want to give the answer up front, and people can just leave our stream after after we give it.
Uh-oh, sorry.
um, the answer is you have to not care. And your default answer has to be a very quick question. Does this impact me tomorrow? Is this going to change my life tomorrow? Okay? So the Sean Combs allegations have no impact on my life tomorrow. And that's about how much energy I'm going to give them. I'm scrolling through Twitter looking for the bits of information I do care about, and I scroll right past that stuff because it just doesn't impact my life.
Okay.
On the other hand, football, you know what? I have my fantasy football team. So I have to pay attention to how all these players did last week. So I got to look at stats from multiple games so I can put together my ultimate team for next week so I can win fantasy football. Wait, could
Hey,
this be a
I've done it.
distraction?
Yeah. And
Right.
a lot of the guys actually that do it know what it is. So
Well,
Okay, it can be a hobby.
Guys
Oh,
are fucking bored. They
guys
have
are bored.
nothing to work for.
Well, the guys have nothing to live
Nothing to-
for.
That's the sad part.
Yes.
if you want to do some of this stuff and pay attention to one thing as a hobby, okay, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying consider maybe it's a distraction too.
Well, look, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I have a couple of hobby distractions myself. One of them is I get a lot of airplane related news in my Twitter feed. Yeah, I stop, I read. Now you could say, "Oh, well, you're a pilot, you're okay." And I have said that publicly before. So yes,
Sure.
I'm not giving anything away here, but and so yes, I do stop and I read those stories of interest me that do not impact my life tomorrow. I'm not strapping a plane on tomorrow. I wish I was, but that's a whole different conversation. So it's not to say that these things are all inherently bad, but in your life as men, if you're not married, what matters most to your life and tomorrow? Probably your
Well,
job.
assuming
Yeah.
you don't have kids, right?
Right. Assuming you don't have kids. If you have kids, your kids matter most to you tomorrow. And
Right.
in order to take care of kids, you're probably going to be most concerned about your job because that's how you get the resources to take care of them. Okay. So
Maybe.
now, if your job involves a specific interacting with a specific government agency, like Nick, we were talking about this beforehand, you might actually need to pay attention to what that government agency is doing to you. In fact, I'd say it's probably a pretty good idea. Okay. But you do not need to pay attention to what's going on halfway around the world or in the salacious sexual accusations world that comprises so much of reality TV, right?
True.
Now, Nick, I don't
Let's
know
ignore that.
I don't know your stance on football, but I do know that you're a Houston fan. So,
Yeah.
You clearly donate a little bit of your time to watching as some in the chat will say, the cheaters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I'm an Astros fan. Die
Right.
hard. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to be the first thing you think of when you wake up in the morning, is it?
Oh hell no.
Right.
It's just a fun thing to do. Like
Right.
people have hobbies.
Yes. No, maybe
People
not
get that
Steve.
interested. Yeah, whatever. But
Yeah, okay, I can be boring.
but but at the same time, does that hobby take up all of my time? Oh. I have friends it takes up way too much of their time. Like, okay, you're an expert in all the sport shit. Good for you. I don't have time for that.
Well, this podcast kind of is somewhat of a distraction. It's a hobby. We're not changing the world with it. We're having some fun.
No.
And, biggest thing the three of us get out of this is discussing the ideas amongst ourselves. And then, oh, yeah, I didn't see it that way. So, in some way, we're just letting you listen in on our conversations.
Sure. Now, I mean, yes, this is a hobby for all of us. We don't make a dime on this. We may never make a dime on this, and I think we're all comfortable with that.
Don't care.
But
Yeah.
even in the world of hobbies and spare time activities, some activities have more value than others.
Makes
And
sense.
and I think that's why the three of us make the effort when we're available, not sick or otherwise indisposed for work. I think that's why the three of us make the effort to show up for this on the schedule, because we're trying to actually come up with new ideas. We're actually working towards trying to build a better world in our own small little way. And it's very small right now. So,
Well, we also need to process through the information that we get where society is going. It's really hard to figure it all out on your own. You learn so much more by discussing it, getting someone else's perspective, getting a different point of view.
Right.
So in some ways, this helps us to figure out what's important in the world too.
So, what usually happens, Steve, after we have these shows?
What are you getting at?
Don't we tend to find this shit appearing elsewhere in the next couple weeks on other places? And we encourage that. We
Yes,
want you
we
to share
do.
this shit. Take our ideas. You don't have to give us credit.
please.
We're okay with that, right?
But you know what? There could be two reasons for this. Things move in a certain manner, and discoveries are found in multiple places at the same time, independently,
Sure.
because the time was right. Or
Sure.
there can be some cross pollination, and people get the idea here and they bring it forward. I don't know. I'm not making accusations. I think some people are listening to us and then furthering
Oh, I know
what
they
we
are.
say, and that's a great thing. Hey, we're about generating ideas, and I'm not patenting my ideas. No, they're mine. You
Me
have to give
neither.
me credit. No, let them out there. Let's discuss them. Let's see what other people think.
Speaking of which, if somebody disagrees with one of our ideas, wants to come on, chat about it, we're open to it. Just drop us a comment on a video, or I don't know, you can get a hold of Nick on Twitter.
But fair warning, we will challenge it.
Yes, this is we don't do blood sport debates, but we have generally thought about these ideas before we present them to you. So
But it doesn't have to get. It doesn't have to be
No,
that way
it's not
either.
personal.
We had
It's not.
we had Shaw on here, and I enjoyed that program, and we never got into any disagreements with him, but he brought a lot of interesting things to the discussion too.
sure, yeah.
Nice.
I enjoy having guests on from time to time.
Sometimes we can actually learn things from a different perspective. And that's okay. We acknowledge truth wherever it comes from.
Even if it comes from somebody we don't like. Now, we do like Shaw.
That's okay.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
But even
he's a
even
good
if it
guy.
comes from people we don't like. So, what I actually wanted to do tonight to give you guys an idea and a look into how, and I had to do this in my personal life. I've talked about this story a little bit before. But I wanted to go into a narrative that I actually do have to pay attention to. And even then, I want to deconstruct it so you can understand how little it matters to you in your day-to-day life. And so that's for the most part, I think that's really what people need to be focusing on out of this is what this one has been in the news a lot for the past 2 years. It's not so much in the news now because there's other more local things taking place. But we're going to discuss the Ukraine war a little bit, and specifically the amount of money that's been spent on it, because that has become something of a narrative canard out there where two sides talk about the money, but they don't actually, but they just use it as like it's good or bad because of this this amount being spent, when really none of that matters. So first off, we're going to just show up here. So in case anyone is wondering, the amount spent authorized by Congress is $175 billion. That is all inclusive of all appropriated money. Okay. So, and then they just list the bills by size here. You can see that. So you got March, May, September, December in 2022, and then nothing until April of this year. So if we do the math on that, since March of 2020, that's 2.5 years. It's exactly 18. No, it's what? No, not. It's 24. Sorry, I do math. 32 months. It's exactly 32 months. That is $70 billion a year. And that sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it?
Yeah,
$70 billion. It is a lot of money.
it is a lot of money.
Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of perspective, though, on this. This is the 2024 budget, U.S. government spending for the fiscal year to date.
Can you blow it up? I can't see it.
Yeah, I think I can. Here we go. Is that better?
A little bit.
Yep.
Oh, shit. So there's a lot of internal government spending that needs to be cut.
Department of Health
Whoa.
and Human Services.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
$1.62 trillion. HHS it's a lot of things. So
Is that the
social,
single moms?
yes, Social
Yeah,
Security,
fuck 'em. Cut it out.
Social Security,
Starve 'em,
and
these
HHS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
starve the cunts. Yep.
I think we
Okay,
know what
Nick.
Nick says.
Yeah,
on
we-
this.
Plutarch warned us about Nick's mood tonight.
Yes.
No, I'm just fucking true.
So
Fuck 'em.
$1.62 trillion.
Yeah,
That
fuck 'em.
is 200. Am I getting that? I think that's 200 times what was spent on Ukraine.
Good night. So we're supporting all these single mother cunts that fuck men over, and all the bureaucratic low IQ cunts that also fuck men over.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Fuck
take
them.
1.62 trillion. That's only, I don't
Of
know,
course it
about
doesn't, but they might excuse that. Who knows?
that's only a few hundred billion of that amount, Nick.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Well,
it should be, right?
Nick, here's another one for you. In 2024, just the year of 2024, $251 billion on the Department of Education.
Oh, to make them useless idiots that they already are?
Well,
And-
we also have to indoctrinate them that feminism is awesome.
More fuck everything over to it. Further engorge the system and fuck us over.
Yes.
For example, when NASA was formed and we did all that, the great space race and putting men
At least
on the
they're doing
moon
some
and
fucking
sending
science.
up
At least they're
rockets.
doing science.
You know what?
Though. At least they're doing shit. But
Yeah, okay. My point is the Department of Education did not exist. All those engineers educated in public schools before the Department of Education came about. And we don't have that caliber of people now. So I'd say this
they're
entire
all fucking idiots.
251 billion has made dumber high school graduates. If we just eliminated the whole thing.
So it's funny you guys brought up NASA. I don't have it on my charts here, but I looked it up. What was their budget?
So,
for
guys,
2024?
I actually live a few miles away from NASA. So,
The Johnson Center down in here. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So-
yeah. I'm a Houstonian. There you go.
So NASA budget for 2024, $24.875 billion. If we do the math, NASA has spent since the start of the Ukraine war, NASA has spent about $70 billion.
On what?
Oh, well, now there's a question.
Because Elon Musk is beating their ass.
Like a drum. They're going to spend $2 billion this year on the space launch system. $1 billion of that is headed to the crawler, the thing that actually takes it out to the launch pad. Okay, and this is NASA. We're talking about a relatively small rump department inside the
I
Department of
know.
Transportation. And they've spent about 70 billion or 60 billion. No, it's about $70 billion since the start of the Ukraine war.
They bought stuff, and it's like important stuff, and they studied
Starliner?
things like going to Mars, and you
No,
know,
no, 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 no. They're not going to Mars.
No,
Musk is going to
They
beat them.
studied
Musk
it.
is going to. They studied it.
That's a.
I mean,
that's a fucked
you don't
up
have to
shit,
do
right?
it. You just have to study doing it.
Fair. They did study doing it. And the federal government actually, NASA actually had this whole plan how they were going to beat Musk to Mars.
Good luck.
There's no possible way.
That's
Musk,
the government.
Musk has them beat, he has this locked up tighter than a drum. Like there's no way. And we're spending out of our own taxes $25 billion on this.
Well, I know NASA has studied important things like when you send women to space, you have to change your plumbing for human waste and, how to go to the bathroom in space. With men, it's one thing. With women, okay, they had to spend some millions of dollars. Now we've had to do that in
Are their cycles
submarines
the
too.
same? Are their reproductive cycles the same either?
I don't know. I'm sure they've studied it.
I don't know. That's an interesting topic.
Now, the point here is only to provide some perspective. Do you hear anybody complaining about the money that we spend on NASA?
Somewhat,
No.
but not really.
Not much.
Not too much.
Okay. Do you hear people complaining about the money we spent? Oh, here's one you never hear about. When was the last time anybody talked about the Department of Agriculture?
Is that where they basically pay farmers to produce nothing?
Yes.
And
Yeah, I hear
that
about
and
that all
other
the time.
things,
But
yeah.
that's for my family. That's for my family. I grew up from a family from Iowa. I was a pastor in South Dakota, so they're into corn and all sorts of shit, So I hear about that.
What the real kind, right, Nick? Corn, the stuff that grows in the fields.
Yeah,
not
they
the other kind of
purposely,
corn.
like. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. Okay, but they purposely they actually have programs where because there's actual problems of overproducing from the soil. So they can erode the soil year after year. And so they actually have programs where they pay people who have land not to produce. And they just have to mow.
I don't know if anyone's seen the TV show Yellowstone, but this was actually one of the plot points of like season 3 or 4. I can't remember which, but one of the characters basically ends up buying all the land around the ranch because it's all Department of Agriculture land, and then they get paid not to do anything with it. So okay, that's 192 billion a year.
Okay.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is not really about the politics of this department versus that department. It's compare the coverage on both the left and the right of the spending on the Ukraine war to, okay, Nick, sorry, you kind of have to step outside of your little family bubble for a second. But how much coverage does the Department of Agriculture programs to not grow get in the mainstream or even on Twitter? I don't see it on Twitter. Do you?
No, I just hear about it.
Yeah, you have to listen.
I know.
Some of these
I hear about it from farmers that I
agriculture
know.
stuff,
Yeah.
it gets 5% coverage in the agricultural states. I mean, yeah, okay, I live in Fargo. Yeah, we hear about this stuff. Some of those some of those programs to set aside land, okay, they're not all bad because there is some marginal land out there. If you keep pumping water out of the aquifers to irrigate marginal land, it's not a good idea. They have to make a certain amount of money. Okay. But on the other hand, there is a whole bunch of abuses of the system, but it's small potatoes. How about, oh, this is a big one. Do you know that there are huge sugar subsidies in the
Yes, I
US?
do.
They subsidize production of sugar beets. And up where I live, there's huge sugar beet. It's a huge sugar beet
Yeah.
growing region, and it's a massive part of our local economy. So no, you're not taking away that subsidy. No, it's important to our region. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Yeah, I do. And this is part of the political problem with all of this. We're not having conversations about whether to subsidize growing this crop or subsidize not growing anything at all. Even though these programs cost us a far larger percentage of our tax dollars than the whatever narrative gets the news. And so what I'm trying to show here is that here is the United States mandatory outlays budget. These are things that absolutely have to be paid for by law. They have to fund them no matter what. Okay? Of course, healthcare is huge. That's HHS, by the way. And this chart is from the Congressional Budget Office. If anyone wants the source, I can give it to you. But I pulled it off Wikipedia. So $4.4 trillion. Oh, here's an interesting one. Hey, Nick, you were wondering about where all the single mommies are?
Yeah.
$448 billion per year.
Oh shit.
Why are we talking about this?
Oh, you can't hurts the women's.
I mean, it is a fraction of what it is. It's not saying it's insignificant, but we're actually using we're using our government to subsidize bullshit, to subsidize the destruction of families, grow
Right here.
the authority and control of fathers.
$49 billion per year on just that right there.
You know, I've come to
So they could actually
unfortunate-
fix the system. They could actually fix the system. It's a fraction of the system.
Oh, we could. Oh, and here's one this one caught my eye. Unemployment compensation. Unemployment is actually a bigger problem,
Okay.
but it's a problem that primarily hits providers, i.e., men. Unemployment.
Why is that? Why is that in here? Because my employer pays unemployment insurance for the insurance to the state, which then, if I
Oh.
get unemployed, I draw from that. So why is there extra money in here? That program is supposed to be pretty much self-funded.
Because the states can't actually self-fund it. They can't grab the answer is they can't get enough out of the taxes without people squealing. But the point that I want to show here is more the imbalance between family support and family support's a lovely euphemism, and unemployment compensation. Family support hits primarily moms. Unemployment hits primarily men.
Well, and that family support also doesn't include all the amount of child support that's paid.
No, that's
So this is above and beyond
yeah,
transfer payments person to person.
correct. This chart does not break things down as well as it could. I mean, it does a reasonable job. So, but the point that I really wanted to make here is unemployment men still make up the majority of workers in the economy, but we spend less per year helping men with unemployment than we do helping women
Oh.
with children.
What about that one right
Yep.
above unemployment? What's that called?
SSI?
No.
Oh, child
Way
nutrition.
over child nutrition.
Yep.
That's
Lun-
kind of the same shit, right?
We are spending more on school programs to feed kids because dad doesn't make enough money, or mom divorced dad, and now they're single.
Dad,
And
dad,
so
dad's the man bad.
Man,
Man,
bad.
man bad. But okay, now we have to support the children and we have to support the women and we got to do all this stuff. Because why? Man bad.
Well, I would
Because
actually
Okay,
go.
women are fucking cunts.
Well,
'Cause
I would
they're
go so
cunts.
far as to say that child nutrition directly supports single moms because they can use the school system as a child daycare, and so they
Yep.
have to feed the schools now have to feed the kids because mom can't afford to send them a lunch or
you-
whatever.
Have either of you guys ever been on Snap?
No,
I'm pretty sure my ex is on that.
Okay.
probably is.
You know what? I was unemployed. I ran through my unemployment insurance. I was helping out the families. I was kind of in a funk. Figuring out my life, okay? I was married with my wife. We were on SNAP benefits for, I don't know, 3-4 months. Let me tell you, they are generous.
How generous is generous here?
Okay, well, since my wife was from Canada, she didn't
Canada.
qualify, but her 2 children did, and I did. So there was a household of
Oh.
4, but we only qualified for 3.
Huh?
And I think we got like $500 a month. Maybe it's a
Damn.
little more than that. And so,
Dang.
you know, for to feed 4 of us on the amount for 3 of us, we had so damn much money left over every month. We could buy steaks and stuff. I mean, it was absurd. Of course, that's no way to live either. So, you know, then
Right.
then I became a truck driver and now I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I'm doing well above the average wage for this area. But my point is these SNAP benefits, or call them food stamps in case you don't know the modern lingo, you get paid a lot of money. And then still, now your kids are still poor because you know you're a single mother, or parents, that happens too, are on
Yep.
SNAP. And so then you get subsidized food through the school in addition. It's
Right there.
It's insane.
So this keeps going though. So we have in non-defense spending, I'm kind of leaving out the defense side because that's actually kind of constitutionally mandated and like okay. And there's bullshit that goes on there too. I'm not saying there isn't, but it's easier to pick on the non-defense side of things without pissing a lot of people off. Here's one.
You choose your opponent tonight, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. Here's one: education, training, employment, and social services. That actually ties back to the mandatory outlays, and you'll see that there's actually quite a bit of overlap in some of these. So, like if you go back here, there's a bunch, there's a bunch of military stuff in here, right?
Sure.
So they go back and forth. So now I have some examples here that I found just randomly scrolling Twitter today of how this narrative actually works in action. Um, because and they tie back to the Ukraine thing, but not all of them. So here's one. This is a side by side video. So this is Asheville on this side. This is Asheville, North Carolina, recently hit by an hurricane, flooded.
Yes.
Okay. Now we see this on the right side. We see this footage that is titled as Ukraine 2024. Now,
But what there? It's like selected. That's selective.
it's not only is
That's-
this selected, you don't actually know that these shots are from 2024. They're saying that they are, but if I look at these, they look like tourist shots. They look like
Right.
tourist B-roll, and this video could very easily be from before the war started. And this is actually specifically a propaganda technique. So these shots, these drone shots from Asheville, they're very real. And I am not trying to
Yeah.
denigrate what's happening there. Okay.
Yeah, they're going through hell.
They are
Sure.
going through hell. But then somebody, and I have intentionally hid the name here, is comparing, because the person who I got this from did not create this video. In fact, I'm almost entirely sure that this video is propaganda from a certain nation state that I'm not going to name right now.
Okay.
Okay.
But you could show vacation areas of the U.S. Beautiful. You could show devastated areas of Ukraine that have been bombed out,
Absolutely.
or rural areas of
Yes.
Ukraine,
Absolutely.
or any.
Right.
You mean they got their shitty places over there too? I mean,
Well-
before the war and after
Yes.
the war, yes, it's show their best against our worst. Gee,
Right.
what does this prove?
Right. And so the
Yeah.
part of the reason that I'm picking on Ukraine so much is because I have relatives over in that region of the world, so I actually do have to care. Okay. A point I want to make on this is as much as I actually have to care about what's going on there, when the war started, I spent about a month vetting sources, around the internet looking for good data. Once I got those, the amount of time I spent on those sources and looking for information about the war dropped consistent. It's just, I spend maybe 5 minutes a day on average getting the latest updates about the war. Now, I do want to say that, to Steve's point, I have seen some absolutely hideous things come across my feed. There are war crimes being committed over there. Again, I'm not naming names. There's video evidence that will be brought forth once the war is done.
There's always war crimes committed during war on both sides. Let me tell you, say that again.
Where is hell?
Both sides. Oh, yes.
And
Where is hell?
World War II is no different. The U.S. committed
Yeah.
a lot of war crimes. A lot. In some
Yep.
cases, in instances, more
Bombing
than the Germans.
innocent civilians, bombing
And
German farmers.
Do you
Yep,
know?
yep.
Do you know that the Germans took American prisoners, but the
Yeah.
Americans didn't take German prisoners?
No.
I don't know that I'd go that far.
Not on a large scale basis. I mean, I've read some books on it, and we didn't take prisoners in Japan either. A lot of times, we didn't have a lot of POWs from Japan. Yeah. It was okay. We're not going to get into that. But the point is, war crimes are committed on both sides. Let me just leave it there.
Right. So there's another angle that actually came out of blue. I don't have the other side of this tweet, but this is a political commentator. People know him. He's talking about this is a map of the power outages, basically the track of the hurricane. And he says they spent hundreds of billions on Ukraine. Well, not quite. Won't lift a finger for America. However, and I missed it and I couldn't catch it. There was another tweet saying FEMA Blackhawks flying overhead. Okay, which is it? FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Their job is to go into areas like this and provide aid and support for disaster areas. That's their whole job.
They don't
So
have Blackhawks. Are they talking about the National Guard?
now they could, FEMA orchestrates with the National Guard. People on Twitter don't always know what they're looking at. So, but
Could you explain this to me? It's okay. I'm an engineer. I've been worked on power a little bit. So when a big hurricane or big winds come through, it blows down a lot of lines, or a big ice storm or whatever, and it destroys a lot of
That
shit.
happens.
Then what happens is they go out and rebuild it, and utility companies send their lineman crews from all across the nation, and they just focus on that, and they start fixing the lines and getting it all back together. So what's this won't lift a finger for America? This obviously is a day or two after the hurricane came through, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people are out of power.
Yep.
We'll get it fixed.
Well,
I'll go back to blue. You know what? This is complete baloney. I mean, this isn't even real.
Well, and that's
he's trying to
exactly my
make.
point. That's exactly my point. This is another this is emotional distraction at its finest. We are talking about a few million Americans, I don't know the exact number, who are in distress, and they are. Like this is not a good situation to be in.
Absolutely not.
And you're turning around and trying to make this situation, which I saw another tweet that was literally a picture of a power truck driving around downed trees on a road into one of these counties. He didn't say which, saying, he talking about, we're going in. Just as Steve, just as you said, right. This is what we do. The proverbial finger has been lifted. It is moving, but it cannot move in instantly and solve the problems in 24 hours. I mean, look at how much area we're talking about. This is the Florida Panhandle all the way up through, oh goodness, what, North Carolina? Maybe even up into Virginia?
That's a huge area. And you know what? I'll say this probably looks worse than it is. Because you take out a couple big transmission lines, the big metal towers, 345 kV, 500 kV, and now all of a sudden you don't have supply into the area. First of all, you got to restore the supply. You don't know where that comes from. Then you start on the lesser lines, and you finally get down to neighborhoods. But I will say one thing: our disaster relief, the science of that, our systems to manage that are amazing. You see this in wildfires out in the western states, Oregon.
Yeah.
Washington, Idaho. I mean, they have, when they come in there, they set up a camp, they bring in all the firefighters, and they have a complete logistics base and they command posts. I mean, it is amazing how they can mobilize all those resources. There are some things about the US that just work extremely well, and some of that same skill base is used to restore power. This is not going to be a problem in 2 weeks to a month.
Yeah, exactly.
But why is I'll tell you why is the outrage. I'll tell you this. It's because all the other it's not, as far as I can tell, what I've seen on Twitter, like my media exposure has been limited. It's the race card. I'll go there. They're whites, and because whites don't demand media exposure. They think, therefore, it automatically means the government's not lifting a finger. The nation doesn't care. In some sense, exposure does bring in funds. So I'll give them that. You don't get exposure because they're not black. They're not the victimized class.
Well, the racial. I mean, we're not supposed to be
Yeah, I
racist,
think
but we all have our
it's
biases,
bullshit.
and we all.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I don't think it should matter, but it's a factor.
Well, it kind of doesn't matter, but everybody still looks through their perspective through racially colored glasses. I
They
mean,
do.
yeah, okay, they try to be unbiased, but I've yet to meet a totally unbiased person. I mean,
Well,
People like
and
their
I'm
own.
not talking about race, unbiased about anything.
People like their
Everybody
own.
has biases.
well, and the other thing
Yeah.
is, I like when we're talking about power linemen, I don't think the power linemen going into this region care what about the
No,
color of
they
the people
don't.
whose lights they're
They
turning back
don't.
on. Right.
They don't. They don't.
So, and this can go other weird ways too. This is another one that I saw that I just thought was interesting. And this is about a completely different narrative. If climate change is to blame for the Asheville, North Carolina flooding from the remnants of Helene, then was it also climate change when Asheville was wiped out in July of 1916 by the remnants of the Charleston hurricane? And they actually post the evidence here. And
that's
oh look,
cool.
it's flooded again. So it turns out that where Asheville sits, which looks like it sits on a river, and rivers are prone to flooding. I'm not saying this to say, oh, the people who live there are dumb. What I'm
No.
what I'm saying is that this happens sometimes. What I would say about this particular thing is I very much doubt that the people in 1916 got as much help as fast as they're getting it right now.
I mean, I don't know, but I doubt it. Yeah.
No. And, people just don't understand perspective of, okay, why is Asheville where it's at? Well, because it was probably close to a river, probably flat land, probably made sense for commerce reasons. Yes, you build it here. No, you don't build your house on top of a hill because it sucks to walk up and down that hill every day. And it just doesn't work. Cities are built in places that sometimes are prone to disaster. And, every 100 years, you might suffer some bad weather event, whether it be in Asheville or if you're in the middle states, tornadoes can come through.
Yeah, like Iowa and Kansas and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. A tornado comes through every 50 to 75 years. Does that mean you were stupid to live there?
No.
It's just part of the risk. Come
Well,
on.
okay, Steve.
Life has its risks.
Yes. So I live out on the West Coast. West Coast is famous for
Okay.
earthquakes. Are you dumb for living in Los Angeles, which sits on top of multiple major fault lines, the San Andreas Fault?
Yes.
Because
That's my answer.
Because it's Los Angeles, right? But 50 million people live in that state. And like 30 million people are in Los Angeles. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's an insane amount of people live there. Oh, excuse me.
But okay, why did Los Angeles, why is it there? Well, was it next to the Pacific Ocean? They had ports there. Port of Long Beach
access
is
to bodies
huge.
of water means
Okay.
commerce.
So
Access to bodies of water means commerce.
Yep.
okay, and you know what? Man, you know where Anaheim is? Well, what's that called? Orange County? Why would it be called Orange County? Gee, it was agriculture, orange groves. Okay, so
Yeah.
it made sense for people to live there. Okay, I got an orange grove. Yeah, it's earthquake prone. Okay, I can make a living here. Shakes the ground. Okay, the oranges are gonna fall off the tree. What's the big deal? I'm I'm making fun of that. But the point is, okay, it starts and then it grows and grows and grows. Maybe some of the growth doesn't make sense, but the evolution from the start does make sense.
So to kind of tie this all up, the point that I'm trying to make here is that in all of these cases, I would even go so far as to say as the hurricane is being used as an emotional distraction. Again, I'm not trying to denigrate what's happening to those people, and we absolutely should. And that's why I showed that tweet from the Benny Johnson, who's a well-known political commentator. He's actually trying to take the very real hurt that our fellow countrymen are experiencing and make a political point about something, and he's not even right. And he's doing it because the Ukraine war is an emotionally charged topic, and the hurricane is an emotionally charged topic. And you can get the engagement that he wants. I would go so far as to say that Benny Johnson is not, in this case, being an honest actor in the public space. He is putting two things together that have very little business being together. And I mean, I would say you could go so far as to say they have no business being together, and putting them together for the sole purpose of trying to score political points and put together a narrative that reaches out and distracts you from things like the very real problems that we have. I would even go so far as to say is this distracts you from what's going on by trying to make this about Ukraine. That's a distraction from what's actually going on in Nashville or elsewhere.
Okay, I have a question here. I think there's two categories: intentional distractions and unintentional. Now, with the example you used, some people of limited intelligence, or maybe just they have this ideology, they don't see the truth and they make these wacky conclusions and bring them together and they put it out there. Other people do it intentionally. So they'll mislead you intentionally.
Mhm.
And to put it in a nutshell, some people are just too dumb. And they tie together things and if you have some intelligence, you look at that and say, gee, that makes no sense. You're full of crap.
So
Well, you
what
say
makes
that to either
what
one.
makes it what makes them full of crap, Steve? Then
Well, that they're misleading you. Now you have to figure out, are they intentionally doing it, or are they of limited intelligence?
Well, okay, I'm actually going to do this because I think it makes a decent example. Benny Johnson is a well-known YouTube creator. He's actually reasonably smart. Some of the stuff he puts out, I actually agree with. Um, and he has a whole team of people. I do believe that in this particular case, this was an intentional because this was an example. He was not the only person I've seen say this exact same thing in the last 24 hours about this. So there are people out there. Now there could be just people following along saying heard or see, and those people exist. But Benny Johnson is not typically one of those people. He's so there are people out there who are intentionally trying to mislead you. And part of, we talk about intelligence a lot here because we think it matters. One of the problems that we have is as a culture, what do we do with the people who are easily led, who are not thinking critically? I mean, you guys saw how Steve just kind of dismantled the whole argument in about 5 sentences, right? Okay, but Steve is thinking critically about that statement, going, "Wait a minute, this is bullshit." Right? Okay,
Yeah.
Steve can do that. But if you are drawn to the emotionalism of how this statement feels, you're not going to want to do
Deals
that.
before reels.
Exactly. It and
Well,
so
I just have so much information about how things work. I mean, I have an understanding of the power grid. I mean, not like a power lineman, but I know the big stuff comes in on high voltage and gets stepped down, and then it's distributed, and then it goes down lower voltage and it goes neighborhood by neighborhood, and some of it's overhead. And I know how people work because I worked in infrastructure, but most people have zero clue of things. Okay, here's just a simple example. Maybe it's off, but my stepdaughter, she was probably 16 or 17. And I was driving truck, but she never saw what I did. And I said, I drive semi trucks. What are those? Oh, those big trucks that drive down the road, they're big, tall, boxy things. No.
What?
I mean, she's oblivious to a lot of things. He just was
Yeah.
out and about in the world and never
Out
paid
and
attention
about.
to them.
Yeah.
a little bit of
Okay,
Canadian showing
so-
there.
that, guys.
So here's another example. How many people drive by a big electric substation every damn day?
No clue.
I know
And
where
then-
the substation
and
is in
then-
my town.
Then you ask them, where's the big substation in town? What?
They have no
What?
clue. They have no clue.
I don't know. I haven't seen one. It's right on the edge of town. You drive by it every day, 2 or 3 times, and you never saw it because you just tune it out.
Well, so Steve, you're actually describing something that I think is important to get to. And do you remember my answer to your question in the beginning about how for most people the answer is to just not care? So
Right.
the reason that I mentioned why I'm following the Ukraine stuff is because, and I said, I have to care. I have relatives over there. Okay. So I have taken it upon myself to educate myself about what's going on over there, because what's going on over there actually does matter to my day-to-day life. Okay. So some big news comes out, I need to know about it in case I have to take an action or inform somebody so that they can take an action, right? Those are things that I have to do. Steve, you worked on the infrastructure. Well, in order to work on something, you have to have some basic understanding of it. Right?
Right.
So when we sit down and we have these conversations about these topics, we are speaking from a point of view that says, yes, but we excuse me. We've actually gone to the effort to learn, and to learn enough to be able to separate fact from fiction. And there are many, 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 many aspects of daily life in this country that I have not done that for.
Sure.
Okay. So when
You
something
can't be a
comes up,
master of everything.
right. And so when something comes
Right.
up that I do not have the expertise to make a judgment on, do you want to know what I do with it? I throw it away.
Oh, kind of, but you may have an opinion on that.
Or you
But you don't
might know
hold
somebody.
fast. You don't hold that opinion as of high importance. Other things you have some knowledge of. Now you have an informed opinion on those.
Mhm.
And that makes it more important or your opinion more valid.
Well, the
But it
reason
doesn't necessarily make it more important to pay attention to just because you know more about it, unless it's your livelihood
right.
or your hobby. You know, you can know a lot about football, and there are plenty of people that have much more informed opinions than mine about football.
Me too. Well, that's why you ask them. So that's the good thing about having connections
Yep.
is you can ask other people that have expertise in a field and you can gather information from them. That's why it's crucial to have relationships.
Shoo, this is a good comment. Too many people think their opinion always holds value. It's mass foolishness. That is so true. And part of the so it's like, do I have an opinion on the Sean Combs stuff? Of course I have an opinion on the Sean Combs stuff. You don't hear me talking about it because my opinion is worthless. I mean, it like it doesn't actually matter. And
My
so
grandfather actually had a lot more than that.
well, but so the point here is that when I see the Sean Combs stuff come across my Twitter feed, I can just scroll right past it because I know that it has no impact on my daily life, none whatsoever. I do not have enough information to form an informed opinion on it. And I don't I have so much to do in a given day that I know that I don't have the time to donate to that thing. So, if you want to talk answers and how to do this, you need to ask yourself the question, am I impacted by this tomorrow? If not, okay, well, is it a hobby that I'm interested in? Then it's, do I have enough information to have an informed opinion on this? And then you kind of have to go, well, if the answer is no, 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 and then okay, well, how much time should I really be spending on this? And the answer is as little as possible.
I look at it a little differently on that one. Did he do it? Did he not do it? I don't know. Don't really care.
Did he
This
do
stuff
it?
goes
Did he-
on.
Very clever, Steve.
You know what? That I wasn't even consciously thinking about that. But whatever. So I don't care. But the point is that I have a belief that this stuff goes on more than at those levels, more than we think. But when someone is exposed, there is a power play going on. There are big, important powers that be, factions fighting and exposing this guy. Am I ever going to figure that out? Nope.
No.
Nope. I'm not knowing who's for, who's against, why it's being done, because there is a why here, but I'm not going to know that either.
Yep.
You don't
So
have an
does it
intelligence
affect my
network.
daily life? No.
Yeah.
What's that?
You don't have the intelligence network to figure everything out.
Exactly.
That's a good way to state it. You really don't. So, I'm glad this one's kind of short today, but the reason that I wanted to talk about this is in part because I was having a conversation with my family last night, and the topic of the presidency actually came up. And I actually told them, and I will say this publicly, and I'm sure this is going to cause major ripples in for saying this. Like, how could I?
That's what we do. That's what we do here.
In my particular state, there is absolutely no benefit to voting for president one way or the other. My state goes 60% blue by popular vote, which means it does not matter how I vote. However, my state also has an open governorship race because the current guy is retiring, and there are a number of very impactful tax initiatives on the ballot this year, specifically one that hits me every time I go to the gas station. It's a gas tax. So you guys would know it as a cap and trade program. So I have actually, and I was talking about this with my family. I said, you know what? I'm actively considering voting for Kamala Harris. Why? Because she's going to win my state anyway. And I don't want some angry staffer seeing that I voted for Donald Trump and throwing out, or marking up my ballot because, as Stalin said, it's not the votes that count, it's who counts the vote. And so,
Here we go.
so I'm not saying that a vote for Kamala Harris is good, and I'm not saying that you should do this, and you should definitely vote your conscience and however you want, whatever you believe. But I actually looked at it and said, the presidential office matters so little to my life that I just don't care who wins, because and if I can use that vote to get coverage for the down ballot votes that I do care about, that actually do hit my life every day, that might actually be a net benefit to me. So, and then of course we got into this discussion of, does the presidency actually matter to your day-to-day life? Because this was just
It does
like,
for me.
well,
It does for me.
for
I'm
different
in the oil
people.
and gas business. I'm
Well,
in
the
the oil and gas business.
well, okay.
The fucking bullshit EPA fucks everything up. Those fucking cocksucker libtards fuck everything up. May they burn in hell. Yeah.
Nick, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah. They
Well, okay,
fucking-
but Nick, here's a question, and we were actually talking about this before the start of the show. Does the president matter as much as the agency? Actually, let me rephrase it.
Well, that's the challenge. Is that it's the overreach of the executive government. That's a whole nother fucking
Okay,
political topic. Yeah.
Nick, who gave the EPA the authority to do what it does?
Nobody. They fucking took it for themselves.
Who
Well-
created the EPA?
Oh, no, actually I can say it's a result of the fucking northern tyrants
Oh, here we go.
subjugating the South. There you
Oh,
go.
damn.
Here
The
we
Southern
That's a
go.
logical
rebel.
consequence. That's a logical consequence. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
The-
Nick, what's going on here? You said your family was farmers from Iowa, but now you live in the
Yeah,
South, and you're talking
Yeah.
about you're talking like Johnny Reb and all us damn Yankees.
Well, I'm related to both sides, actually. I'm related to both sides that fought in the war. But yeah, my family makes our money off oil and gas business, and fuck these fucking organizations that fucking change every 4 years and fuck everything up. And
Okay.
while the rest of the world gets rich
Okay, Nick.
And
because they're fucking regulations.
Steve's question is important here. Who created the EPA? Congress did.
Yeah, those fuckers. Yeah,
Right.
they didn't have that authority.
So
Did they?
I mean-
I don't know. But under
that's
what administration? Now, was it Nixon or Carter or Reagan? It's not that old.
I don't know.
Here, I'll look it up. But
And there's been some recent challenges that's gonna,
the
play out,
EPA is
so.
actually lost in court pretty significantly. So it was created in 1970 under Nixon.
No, that fucker. Yeah.
So,
That's what we got off the gold standard too.
but come on,
The
he was
gold and silver
Republican.
standard.
Come on, man, he was Republican.
Yeah.
that's
they
my
had-
point.
and
I kind of thought it might have happened under a Republican.
So was Lincoln, by the way.
Oh, here we
Hey,
go. Okay.
And you know what? The Department of Education was created under Carter. And Reagan got into power right after that. And he said he was going to abolish it. But you know what happened
He should
under
have.
Reagan?
What
He
happened?
didn't.
What happened?
He didn't. And the Department of Education got larger. So does the
Oh,
president
so-
really matter?
So
No, it's
so
people that make the money that matter.
well, so
They
in
dictate
the
the
case,
terms.
so Steve, to your specific example, what actually happened was Congress told.
And you can't talk about them, by the way.
No, we can't. Congress said the Department of Education has to get bigger. Here's its budget. President Reagan had a choice. He could veto the entire budget, or he could sign it and accept that the Department of Education had to get bigger. So I ask again, how important is the president to your daily life? The answer is, in most cases, not very much. However, look at the billions of dollars that have been spent on the presidential election to date, and there'll be billions more spent over the next 5 weeks. This is the biggest circus we have right now. And that's all this is. The president of all the branches of government, the one that impacts you the least is the president. And we spend
Unless he
the
fucks with the Fed.
well, no president's going to do that. I mean, for example, if you vote for Trump,
He won't last long, will he?
well,
No.
if oh my goodness, we're not turning this into the conspiracy theory hour, Nick. But my point here, and see, this is why we avoid political topics, because now I've got to rein in Nick.
Wait,
so-
can I talk about
knows,
my
Steve
favorite
knows.
conspiracies too?
No. I have a mute button. But the overarching point here is we spend all this time on Twitter yelling at each other about, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. We spend all this time telling, this one actually really annoys me. We spend all this time telling ourselves that Donald Trump will save us. From what? And how?
Well, did he save us the last time he was in there?
Murphy Jr.'s there. Maybe it's the Fed this time.
No. Now, the argument I've heard for why he didn't save us is because he just didn't have good people. He had people were roadblocking him and stymieing him, and this
Yeah.
time he'll have good people.
Oh, right. You know what? He picked those people.
Yes,
Didn't
he
he put John Bolton in as
did.
whatever
Yes,
the
he did.
fuck he was? I mean, I knew, stay away from this guy. But yeah, Reagan?
Wasn't he like
Or,
a neocon warmonger?
Bolton?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's not
and-
the only one he did. What was
No,
the FBI director? That was one he put in, and that
Oh,
was
he
a
picked
disaster.
bad people. How can you be a successful businessman, as successful as he is, and pick some of the people that he put in these positions of authority to implement mini tyrannies over us?
Look, guys,
No,
hindsight
he
is
wasn't in
2020.
control.
Well, here's the thing. Donald Trump's history, he was a card-carrying New York Democrat
He was.
up until the Obama years. It was
Oh,
Obama
yeah,
that
he was
flipped-
buddy with the Clintons.
Oh yeah. There's lots of pictures of him with Hillary and Bill and Hillary. Lots of pictures. And here's another one. During Trump's first administration, I'm a bit of a 2A nut. Trump directed the ATF to ban bump stocks. That ban has now been overturned as unconstitutional many years later.
Yep.
Trump is not a friend to conservatives. I would go so far as to say this, because people are running around saying this is going to be the most consequential election. If we lose this election, we lose
I
the
think it
nation.
is. I actually do think it is. I think it's already been lost, honestly. But
Okay. But I look at Trump and Kamala and I go, I've got my choice between a blue dog Democrat and a commie. Like that
I'd choose
neither.
Blue Dog Democrat any day of the week.
Well,
over
okay. But if the presidency has relatively little power and influence on your daily life, and
Not for me.
well, the
Well,
president,
on the margins, the president does matter. In the core, it doesn't really matter.
right? The president actually has far more power over foreign policy than he does domestic policy. Like, it's far more power. And interestingly enough, where Trump's biggest wins was in foreign policy. Remember, this is the guy who actually, the first president to set foot in North Korea. And I don't know if you guys remember
No,
that.
it actually has a lot to do with me and my actually profession because Kamala's a fucking cunt and wants to fucking destroy the oil and gas industry. And she wants to take me out of business. So yeah, fuck her.
Well, right. But see, here's
Fuck her.
this goes back to
She
what we
wants
were
to destroy
saying
my
earlier.
family. Fuck her.
This goes. Nick has enough interaction with the EPA. He has enough, like he's worked with them. He's worked against them, as the case may be. He has the experience to create an informed opinion on this topic. But for the average person just living their lives, how much does the president matter to you? Honestly, not that much.
Well, it could matter if you're a single mother and you want more benefits, and
Those have to be voted on by Congress. At the federal level,
Executive orders are not voted on by Congress.
They're not voted on by Congress, but they cannot move money around, which is what the single
But
mommies want.
They can regulate international trade and interstate trade.
That's correct.
Sure.
That's what fucks our natural resources over.
Yes, it is.
The economy based on natural resources. Yeah.
Now, our economy does not derive the bulk of its. I don't take this the wrong way, Nick, but our economy does not derive the bulk of its revenues from natural resources. We are
fuck the North. I'm the South.
Yeah, Nick is, as I said, guys. Nick is in a mood today.
Hey, I'm a Southern guy. I'm a Texan, die hard.
So, the question
Texas
that the question that I really do want people to be asking themselves is when you encounter an emotional argument, when you encounter somebody who is trying to say, look at this thing, see how bad it is, ask yourself, does it matter to your life tomorrow? Yes, Nick, I understand it matters for your life tomorrow. And if it doesn't matter to your life tomorrow, does it impact a hobby or something that I have the enough information to have an informed opinion on? If you can't answer yes to either of those questions, you're probably better off moving on to something you can have an impact on. And I'm actually trying to drive you guys towards the question of how the people have of how do I make an impact? How do I find purpose in life? You have,
before we go there,
well, that's for a different stream, but
I want to talk about World War III.
It's already happening, right?
Well, you know what? I'm paying attention to this war in Ukraine, and U.S. is going to give weapons to Ukraine, and they're going to strike in Russia. And Putin says, if you do that, we're going to hit you back. And, this could escalate into World War III. Okay, yeah, maybe.
Good.
Wait. Israel, Lebanon. Israel just dropped something like 86 2,000-pound bombs in Lebanon to kill that Lebanese or the head of Hezbollah. And they're escalating. And and then a while ago, Iran sends all these missiles over to Israel, missiles and drones and all this. And geez, World War III gonna start from Ukraine, or is it gonna start from the Middle East? And what about those Houthis? And all the stuff going on. Oh man, world is getting so crazy. I got to pay attention to this because World War III could start at any moment. Okay. Well, you know what? It could.
We've been saying that since like the 50s, right?
Yes.
But you got to keep in mind, there are puppet masters behind the scenes, pulling the strings, making these things happen. And if the global elite don't want World War III to happen, it's not going to happen. If they do want it to happen, it will happen. But all this stuff of what is the latest development? And could it lead to that? That's a distraction. So how do you deal with it? Well, you can pay attention if you want. It's kind of interesting. Okay, they're doing this. You're going to do that. It's a cat and mouse game. But how do you have peace of mind? Well, you got to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a little bit resilient.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So a little bit resilient means, good, whatever works for you. I would suggest have a little bit of cash on hand. You got, a couple $1,000 in cash. Okay, you're better off than most people.
Yep.
Oh, what else? You know what? Have your pantry
Silver.
stocked with 2 or 3 months
Rice.
or 2 or 3 weeks of food, maybe a month of food. Okay, now you're better off. And as Nick mentioned, some silver. Constitutional silver. They also call it junk silver, pre-64 dimes and quarters. If you put, a couple grand in that, and okay, now you don't have to be perfect. You don't, if things get tough, you're not going to preserve your lifestyle. You just have to be better than the other guy and be able to get over the humps.
Steve, I saw.
Have some resiliency.
So, Steve, there's another thing I want to bring up. That was a tweet that I saw that I didn't bring into this, but it was when I was doing the research on Asheville. There were people saying, "Oh, but there's this looting going on. What do we do? Where's the government?" My thought was, "You're in fucking Appalachia. Where's the shotgun?" Have a little bit of lead too, guys.
Well, exactly. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. You don't have to pay attention to all these things. Your life is local. In
Well-
your house, your family. You know what?
Mhm.
Have a little bit of resources at your fingertips, in your control. Don't
Know
be
your
entirely
fucking neighbors.
dependent on the world
Yes.
working.
Well, Steve,
Know your
there's
neighbors. Know your neighbors, guys.
Yes.
Shit.
I know neighbors on. I know.
Yeah.
We've got 2 police officers. I know them. I've got somebody who works for the FBI. I've got somebody who works for the local Republican convention.
Damn, you got a 3-letter name terrorist on your. Okay.
No, it's all cool. But but I do know my neighbors. The other thing, Steve, that I want to point out to the listeners is when you become resilient like this, it gets a hell of a lot easier to ignore this stuff because you're
Right.
you're mentally going to go, yeah, okay, but if something happens, I'm okay for a while. Like this Asheville thing. If people had 2 to 3 weeks of resources in and cash, and maybe they had some. I mean, I thought, I'm thinking this is Appalachia. Why aren't there, why aren't the ARs popping out of the woodwork to deal with the looting problem? But when you have those things, it actually makes it easier for your brain to go, I just don't care. And that has been very true in my life to this day. We do live out in the sticks. We live across a river where if there was a flood, as almost happened last year, the bridge could be taken out and I would have to live off local resources for a while. So these are things that have popped up in my mind, but I have those resources on hand. So it was like, well, that could happen. That would suck, but we'd be okay.
So, what's your most important thing to have if the power goes out? What is the most important thing?
Non-perishable food.
No,
No, you don't think so? Okay. What?
no. Nick already asked me about this a few months ago. Not this direct question, but water.
Mm. Yeah.
Water is the most important thing to have. Okay, so if you live next to a river, there's lots of water there. Can you drink it?
No.
No.
Right.
Okay, you need clean water to survive. It's even more important than food. Oh yeah, you can boil water. Yeah, okay, that will kill
If you have an energy source.
if you have an energy source, and that will kill off the germs, but that doesn't necessarily make it clean.
Mm-hmm.
There's easy technology out there to have a water filter.
Yep.
And you don't need any energy. It's basically a ceramic filter. Pour the dirty water in top, and it trickles through, comes out clean water, and it actually removes all you know, the bad bugs and stuff, and the sediment, a few chemicals and whatnot. And you can get container size, or you can get small size that uh, you can just pump the water
Are
through.
you talking about? Are you talking about pouring water through coffee filters and charcoal?
Well,
If
okay,
you
if you
have
don't
to.
have any of that, you can
So
make
boil
your
water,
own.
then pour it through coffee filters and charcoal.
Oh, yeah, you're missing one thing though.
What's that?
Oh, put some sand on top.
Mm.
You get some logs, get the charcoal, put that at the bottom, coffee filter, and then some sand, because sand is a wonderful filtration. And then the charcoal actually takes out a lot of the other stuff. So, okay, with a little bit of knowledge, okay, that's important too. But then you have peace of mind. And yeah, if the shit hits the fan, it's not going to be pleasant. I may not survive. I don't know. But at least
There's
I
no
know more
guarantees.
than other people.
Right.
And
So
then I know my neighbors, and we'll get together, and you know what? We'll have a bunch of men together,
mhm.
and we'll figure it out.
So I have to admit I have a bit of geography privilege here. We don't think about water much because we use mountain reservoir stores, so we get gravity fed water. But yes, if you're in the Midwest, particularly where they have to use electric pumps and water towers and all that stuff, Steve's advice is absolutely number one. So yeah, that's my mistake for not living out
Look,
in.
no, that, but that, yeah, a mountain stream, water off, snow at the top of a mountain. That's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah. So that's that's the end of what I had for today. We actually did get to an hour and a half. I'm kind of surprised by that. Um, the advice today would be make yourself resilient so that you don't have to worry about everything that's going on in the world and how it's going to impact you. And blah, blah, blah. And even although what I would say, even if you are not resilient today, yes, start making yourself resilient. But also, even if you're not, and even if you don't intend on doing this, although looking at the pictures coming out of Asheville, I don't know how you can mentally justify that. We're only talking about a few $1,000s of investment here, and this investment can save your life. In any case, start asking yourself the question, does this matter to my life tomorrow? And do I have enough information to make an informed opinion about it? And if I don't, do I really want to spend the time to get one of those two to the yes column?
You don't want to spend any time about that
Mhm.
or on
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And if you're a poor person, and you say, "Well, I can never have like $2,000 sitting there. I can never afford silver, or I can't get ahead of my food." Okay, fine. Still, stop worrying about all that other crap. You know what? Put an extra $20 aside
Mhm.
every week or whatever. And you know what? In 6 months, you're gonna have some nice money sitting there,
Yeah,
probably more than you had before, and you're gonna go, I just feel more at peace because I got my secret stash.
absolutely.
Just take just a little step, a little thing. Do what you're able to. That's all.
Look, guys, you're a man. Protection, provision. Okay, you're going to provide for your family. What steps? Think through what steps you need to in such an environment that you need to provide for your family, but also how you can protect for your family on a day-to-day basis. Hey, shit goes bump in the night. Okay. But you can also extend that to adverse events in life, wherever it may go. Let's just think through that.
Yeah, okay. That brings us back to I can tie it into our typical theme. Guys, do what Nick said, but then do not think you're in a partnership with a woman or think you have to
Absolutely.
run your decisions by the woman, because you know what?
Fuck
She
that.
will have an opinion, but it will be an uninformed opinion.
Right.
And so you're going to have to take leadership, kind of be a little bit more of a king, dictator. Nope, this is what we're going to do. He doesn't have a clue about most of this stuff, but yet she does have an opinion. So
Women
the
have lots
man.
of opinions, particularly about money, and none of it will be doing what is actually necessary to protect the woman.
Right.
Females can be rather. It's like they are quite willing to sacrifice themselves, their futures, for their present day. And men, it is your job to restrain the vices and of your women. That is your job in life. Am I
Okay,
wrong,
I'm gonna-
Nick?
No, I mean, men have to think long term and also understand that adverse situations may occur.
Yep.
Okay, so
That's
what you
that's
guys
reality.
are saying is women are more prone to follow distractions.
Yes, we are saying that.
And so
women are more
men-
emotional.
Men have to remove themselves from the distractions, be less distracted than the woman, and then make the decisions and not let her distractions and opinion sway you from what you need to do. This is just the nature of things.
You have a duty. You must perform your duty. Otherwise, you're a piece of shit and a coward.
Yeah, Nick is on a roll tonight.
Well, I was going to say, look, if pretty much what Nick said, he said it more bluntly than I was going to say it. So I'll just leave that
It's
at
in
that.
the moniker. It's in the moniker, guys. It's in the moniker. Ecclesiastical troublemaker. Absolutely. Hey, and these churches, they want to emasculate you. They don't want to teach you this shit. No.
Church is actually
Ignore.
Nick, that's actually something that I was thinking, where are the church? I thought my first question
They're
was,
not.
where were the churches? And then I realized the churches can't do this anymore. They don't know. But I think about Asheville and why aren't the churches helping? Because they can't.
Right. They can't.
Which is a sad day and a sad
It's
observation.
very sad.
The state of our churches. Well, anyways,
Well, I know some good men that are actually trying to help, that are Christian men, even those that have been ostracized by the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, like my friend Michael Spengler. Yeah. He's actually in North Carolina. I think he's actually trying to help these people, even though the OPC fucked him over. Yeah. Yeah, you cocksuckers. That's who you are.
wow, Nick.
Yeah. Hey.
No, I have no shame. Where's my I'll put this, but where's my family, you fuckers? Where's my kids?
Hey.
Oh, when I went to jail, where the fuck were you? Fuck you.
Yeah, okay. The Catholic Church.
I said my piece.
I'm twice divorced. they both supported my ex-wives in their allegations, which will end up destroying the children from the first marriage through
Yes.
the upbringing, and probably my stepchildren from the second marriage. Clueless, absolutely abdicate any authority and just kowtow to the woman. So, yeah, what Nick is talking about, unfortunately, is happening across all of Christianity in all churches, not just Protestant churches. It's not just evangelical churches. It includes the Catholic churches, probably includes the Mormons, for all I know, because you know what? The birth rate in in Utah was one of the lowest out there. So I'm sure they're having their
Yep.
problems. It's not limited to your denomination. Sorry.
And the truth doesn't give a fuck about your feelings.
Not today, not tomorrow. And at the end of the day, distraction is an attempt to get you to care about your feelings and not the truth. As I think we have demonstrated tonight. The truth is a very slippery thing. It's a very difficult thing to figure out, from particularly in this age of social media, where we are constantly bombarded with everyone trying to get our attention so that they can distract us from what's actually going on. And that just makes your job as a man harder. So
to all our audience, tune in because you get to hear some fiery things. I'm a little bit disappointed tonight because Nick was on a roll and I didn't even have to prod him to get him going.
Oh, we like putting a quarter in the machine, right?
Yeah, we
It is what
really
it
didn't
is,
have to
guys.
work very hard for it tonight.
It
did we,
is what it
Steve?
is, guys.
Well, that's everything I had to discuss. The Distraction Olympics are out there competing for your attention. Don't give it to them. Instead, become resilient so that you can look at them and go, "Yeah, I don't care about your opinions about how I should feel." And yeah, guys, stay resilient. Keep your head and keep your counsel. Keep your head about you, and keep your own counsel. So, yeah. You guys have anything else you
Stand
want?
firm. Yeah,
Ooh.
stand firm. Be courageous. Don't move to the left or the right. Honor God in all you do.
Yeah,
That's a good way to
stay on
end
your
it.
purpose.
All right. Well, what do we have up for Wednesday, guys? Do we even know, or?
I don't have a clue.
Okay. Well, we'll
Weren't we talking about like three? Each of us was to come up with like 3 ways to save a marriage or some shit.
Should we do that one? No,
You said that.
I said, okay, if each one of us was dictator of the U.S. and we could make 3 decrees that would change things, not immediately, but save the U.S. What 3 changes would you make? They have to be somewhat realistic, but what 3 changes?
Realistic, and if meaning that if I had the military force behind me, I could accomplish them, right?
Yeah, define it however you want.
Well,
do you want to do that? Do you want to do that for our
I'd do
next
it.
one? What 3 changes would you make? What would I make?
They might ban me off YouTube for that.
Oh no. I don't know that we can do that one. man.
Might be too politically
Hey.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Okay,
it'd be
you
good.
can't shoot anybody, Nick. No, I'm just
But-
kidding. Nick wouldn't do
But
that.
if I'm the dictator, isn't that my right?
No,
Well,
you
there
have
were
to
some
be.
dictators
You
who
have
were
to be
famous for that.
moral.
But I think it is moral.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, no. This would get
You
our
don't want
channel
me to do
banned.
this one.
Yeah, this
you
would
don't
get our
want me to
channel
do this.
banned.
Okay, if we do this, Nick
Hey,
has to
but you-
suggest his changes to us
Mm.
first, whether we'll allow
shit.
him to use them.
Hey, if you think Putin's bad, just wait till I have my suggestions.
No. You're gonna make Stalin look like a cuddly teddy bear.
Ooh.
Or
Yeah,
No,
you know
I'm
what?
I'm just a traditional Christian man. I believe in Christian nations.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Nick-
do until like the 20th century. Really? Well, that gets you in trouble, I guess.
I think we could. I could come up with a name for you if you were dictator. Nick the Ruthless.
I'm fine with that. I like Vlad the Impaler, anyways. I'm fine with anything. Yes, I am.
All right, guys. I think we need to close this down before Nick completely loses it over here.
Vlad's my hero.
All right. I'm going to take us out now. If you guys liked anything you heard tonight, or you know somebody who could who could benefit from the message that we brought to you tonight, please do share this video. Nick, oh God, Colonel. Oh my goodness, that just happens to work.
Like Vlad. Vlad was the same way. He was the mustache man too.
Oh my goodness. So if you know somebody who could benefit
Yes.
from the show tonight, please share it with them. Please share this video around. We do this for the ideas, not the, well, I don't, Nick over there might be doing this now just so that he can have fun.
Well, I'm 100% serious.
We know.
That's what makes me dangerous.
If you have something that you disagree with or you want more information on, please leave a comment under the video. We have noticed that sometimes YouTube does shadow ban comments and we can't see them. If you
Sorry.
can't, if you can't get a hold of us via comment, just leave a comment saying, "Hey, I left you guys a comment," and we can't see it. So usually YouTube lets stuff like that through. Very quick, simple comment. But other than that, please like the video and subscribe if you like what you heard tonight and want to hear more. And with that, we will see you all on Wednesday.
All right, guys.
But